Welcome to Ink2 Video. Every day we break down powerful books into simple stories and show you exactly how to apply them.
Meet Vardha. He's what you might call a chronic tinkerer. Every week, he downloads a new productivity app, tries a new diet, or attempts a complex morning routine, only to find himself completely drained and back where he started. He is trapped in a cycle of trial and error. The internet offers an endless fire hose of conflicting life advice, and trying to process all of it leaves him paralyzed. It makes him wonder, when the cameras are off and the PR teams go home, what systems do actual top-tier performers rely on to get things done? Pushing yourself to the limit without a proven, curated framework doesn't fill discipline, it just guarantees burnout. To answer that question, we can look at the work of Tim Ferriss. He spent years compiling Tools of Titans, a massive catalog of insights drawn from over 200 interviews with elite athletes, investors, and artists. Ferriss discovered that elite performance is built on a foundation of specific, often eccentric habits that anyone can adopt. This brings us to a concept known as behavioral modeling. In psychology, this means that by physically and mentally mimicking the actions of people you admire, you can prime your own brain to achieve similar outcomes. Reaching your goals is rarely a matter of genetic luck. It is simply a matter of collecting and applying the right curriculum of habits. Vardha decides to test this theory. He commits to a 30-day experiment in behavioral modeling, starting with the most immediate bottleneck, his daily energy levels. His previous approach was brute force, sleeping 10 hours a night and downing 5 cups of coffee, which always ended in a massive mid-afternoon crash. He needs a more efficient input. This graph illustrates the effort-to-result ratio. Ferriss applies a medical concept here called the minimum effective dose. It means finding the exact point where the smallest amount of effort triggers the maximum biological change before you hit diminishing returns. Instead of a long, elaborate morning workout, Vardha steps into a cold shower for exactly 30 seconds. This brief, localized shock forces his nervous system to wake up instantly. Next, he swaps the crash-inducing coffee for Titan tea, a specific blend of hot water, crushed ginger, and specific fats used by a billionaire investor to maintain steady energy for 4 straight hours. Finally, he adds a psychological pivot. He spends 5 minutes writing down 3 things he is grateful for. This physical act shifts his brain out of a defensive, stress-induced survival mode and into a state of focus. By applying these specific constraints to his morning, Vardha triggers a more efficient metabolic response, effectively doubling his early day productivity. With his daily energy optimized, Vardha faces a much larger obstacle. He wants to quit his corporate job to start his own venture, but the anxiety of taking that leap is paralyzing. To get past this, he borrows a psychological tool heavily favored by Titans: negative visualization. Instead of trying to ignore the worst-case scenario, you actively confront and define it. This diagram shows the anatomy of that anxiety. Vardha uses an exercise called fear setting. He takes the massive, overwhelming blob of fear and breaks it apart into smaller, measurable risks, like running out of savings or losing touch with industry contacts. Isolating these risks allows him to create specific, actionable recovery plans for each, transitioning him from a state of emotional stalling into active risk management. Fear stops acting as an insurmountable wall. It becomes a standard engineering problem that can be structurally dismantled. Consistently executing these micro-habits pushes Vardha into a state of rapid acceleration, a phase we can call the vertical climb. The effects of his routines begin to compound. He hits his 1-year fitness goal in just 4 months. He achieves this largely by optimizing his sleep environment, keeping his room at exactly 68 degrees, and consuming a small amount of honey before bed to ensure deep rest. At work, he secures a 20% raise. He doesn't guess at what to say. He uses a heavily tested negotiation script pulled directly from the interviews in the book. He maintains this momentum through a strategy of radical reading. By consuming the books most frequently recommended by elite performers, he builds a permanent circle of mentors right in his living room. By stripping away the guesswork and applying these specific protocols, Vardha removed the friction that previously stalled his progress, creating the conditions for his rapid advancement. The giants of the world deal with the same flaws and doubts as everyone else. They simply found a few reliable tools that allow them to perform at an exceptionally high level. Think about someone you profoundly admire. If you could implant just one of their daily habits into your own life today, what would it be? The only thing standing between you and the benefits of behavioral modeling is the decision to execute that habit for 5 minutes tomorrow morning.
Subscribe to the channel and comment on which point you would like to implement in your life and which book we should read next.